Hi YouTube pipe community, OTC Piper. Got a product review for you. Then I'd like to take a little while and get a little deep. First of all, let's look at what we got. Not a pipe. It is a cigar. I don't smoke a lot of cigars as much as I used to. I kind of flipped. Used to mostly smoke cigars in a pipe once in a while, and now it's kind of the other way. I like it that way. I enjoy a cigar once in a while, but to me, it doesn't replace a pipe. But when I was at Tobacco Cabana, if you saw my bag opening, there was this cigar that the Rhonda, the owner, she's a terrific lady. It's fun, very easy to talk to, very friendly. Said she had just gotten these in, and she really liked them. They're a flavored cigar. I'm not big on flavored cigars. I have recommended them from time to time for somebody that wanted to get into cigars and was a little put off by the pungency of some of the stronger ones that are out there. Started them off on the Java or something like that. And I've smoked a few. Not really my favorite thing in the world, but this one is an exceptional quality. I haven't ever smoked one of these. This is the first time I've ever smoked this brand. It is a rum infused cigar. It's just got such a sweet aroma of the rum. It's called Liga Perfecta, rum exclusive, Nicaraguan blend. And Nicaraguan cigars are those are my favorites for cigars. Get this little thing off of it real quick. I usually keep my band on for the first 2/3 or half of it, but it seems very, very aromatic, and I wanted to see how it went. This is a pipe cutter. This is one my wife got for me a few years back on the anniversary. She bought me a 3-pack 10 of the Arturo Fuente Opus X 1992 vintage, and those were terrific cigars. This past year she got me Opus X Lost City, which was a terrific cigar. This is the lighter she bought me with the first set. Just got a spring-loaded, guillotine style cutter, and it's got a large punch and a small punch. This one is a larger ring gauge. I'm going to use a larger punch. I prefer the punches over since I found out, since I discovered the punch, I prefer that over any of the other ones. The V-cut would be second. It definitely doesn't seem like it's sprayed or anything. Now, some of them that have been just kind of shellacked with the flavor, you can definitely tell. Doesn't seem to be what this one is. I don't know, it could be wrong. Wet it down real good. Get a good punch on it. I'm going to try not to make this video very long. Just in my off-camera reading time, come across some things that a little moving. After we puff on this for a while, see what we think of it, I thought we might just go over it. Try this up a little bit. First time I ever smoked a cigar on camera, I kind of use the camera as a guide. Mmm. There we go. You know, this is really unlike any cigar I've ever smoked. That is spectacular. Mm. A lot of times, some of the lower end flavored cigars are usually the more inferior product that they can just, like I said, shellac it with flavor of some kind, and it kind of covers the fact that it's not the best product, you know. But I don't think that's the case with this. I believe the sticker on this was $8.50. Huh. If ever there was a cigar that was created with a pipe smoker in mind, this is it. If I smoke cigars regularly, I would be buying a case of these like tomorrow. I'm going to enjoy this. Pour me a little coffee here. If anybody gets a chance real quick before I forget, put this up there close to the camera so you can see the label on it. So I haven't figured out my autofocus. I am trying to work on that. I can't find the setting. I've tried other settings and they don't seem to do anything. Let me try that again. That's not working very well. Hopefully you got enough of it if you wanted to try one of these. You can at least know to order it. And I'll put all the information down in the description. But it is by the House of Lucky Cigars. Never heard of that myself. Now that we kind of got that out of the way. Now break for updates as different elements of this cigar come alive. Thought we'd get a little deep today. I just got through doing the VR for Blue Collar Pipe Smoker on that history question. And I'm sure I'm beating a dead horse when I say, you know, because I've said it so many times, but history is something that means a lot to me. I think if you can look back on where you've been and enjoy the good times, learn from the bad times, learn from the mistakes, you can always get to where you need to go. Too many people, you see it, it's tragic, but they don't do that. They you know, like the old cliche saying, if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. Kind of goes along those lines. I am a singer-songwriter, probably more of a songwriter than I am a singer, which is another element of, you know, where some of my depth comes from. Not where it comes from. I think everyone's got deep tendencies in one area or another. That's just one of mine. I remember when I was 13 years old, my parents had divorced. My father had me for the weekend. I was at his place, and we were one evening. We were looking for, and I remember. I don't know why I remember this. We were looking for. We were gonna watch a movie. I was looking for Die Hard. Still a great movie. I remember I was looking for that. We had it on a VHS. If you remember what those are. I was in one of those little slide-out trays, had all the tapes in there. I was looking through them, and we had a bunch of bootleg things, and one of the labels had come off of a few of them. And so you know how you do. You slide it in there and see what's on it. And went through a couple of them. And we went through one that, you know, I put one in there to see what it was, and it was a Die Hard. It was a recorded from TV copy of Simon and Garfunkel, The Concert in Central Park, 1981, I believe it was. And I was a kid. I didn't know who these guys were. And my father's like, oh, I didn't, you know, I forgot I had that, or something to that effect. Said he wanted to watch it and see if he had a whole, you know, he had a good bit of it on still on there. And of course they come out, and Ed Koch introduces them, and they come out and start with Mrs. Robinson. So I identify with that song just from, it says it's a popular song. And I was like, okay, you know, so we went to the next one, and despite my reluctancy at first, we wound up watching that entire concert because every single one, I was just mesmerized by the music. And it was way before my time. That's not what 13-year-olds listen to, or gave any thought to. And I couldn't get enough of it. I probably rewound that thing and watched it I don't know how many times that weekend. And I had started guitar lessons as a kid, and got, you know, to where you could kind of understand what I was playing. Kind of plateaued there for a while, and that kind of created a resurgence of the music. You know, of music in me, my interest in it. So, you know, my mother being a single mother, didn't have a lot coming in. I knew she wouldn't be able to do anything, for me. My mother, she worked so hard to make sure that I never knew how bad things really were. And all of us. So I asked my grandmother. She was the next one to go to. I asked my grandmother. I told her, hey, I just saw this Simon and Garfunkel thing, and I really want to start playing guitar again. By that time, I'd outgrown my kid guitar. It's probably why I stopped playing it as much. And I said, hey, I can't remember if it was my birthday or Christmas I was up next. I said, hey, such and such is up next. I would really like to get one of these, to get another guitar. I'd like to start learning, getting better at playing. I kind of taught myself from the very entry level that I was currently at to more advanced. And I started just every waking moment I was playing that guitar. Back before we had Google, and we had, we can Google tabs or something like that to learn a song. We didn't have that. So I would take that concert that was on VHS, and I would seriously rewind it and watch all of Paul Simon's shots where he went in playing to see what chord he was playing, so that I can learn how to, learn what chord went there. This is before I learned to hear music and learn the theory. I just needed to know what kind of chord he was playing. This was very beginner level. And I would sit when I was at my dad's for the weekend, every other weekend. That's all I would do, is I would sit there and do that. And I branched out into other musicians from there. But as I got a little bit older, kids around just didn't understand what it was like, to be an old soul. And I eventually just kind of sold out to the whole rock and grunge and all that kind of thing, just because that's what everybody was doing. That's what was popular at the time, and just wanted to be, liked by everybody. And that's common for kids. And that went, as I got more into playing rock and everything, that just kind of became my thing. That's what I was known as, even into my 20s, when I started, started doing praise and worship and all that. I go to a church that's very, very progressive, very cutting edge. There's a lot of edgy, rock, praise and worship that we do. And for the longest time, anytime there was rock, anytime there was something, mind-melting distortion or something like that, I was always the one that everybody would go to. Oh, that's a Matt. So, up until a few years ago, that was just that I just kind of settled into that, and I just went with the flow, and I started to burn out really bad on it, and it just got to be so empty, so meaningless to me, because I'd gone so far away from my roots, and it wasn't doing it to me, to the point that I was grieved by it. I'm giving some coffee. I was grieved by it quite a bit, till I just decided I've got to detox. So I just went scorched earth. I sold all of my electric stuff and bought me an acoustic folk model, because I started in folk music, and now that's where I'm at. Every now and then when I need to play something kind of edgy, I will, but for the most part, I've decided I've got to do this. I've got to do what means something to me, and the singer-songwriter part of me kind of put that down into a song, kind of chronicling the journey I went from being a boy, just mesmerized by this new thing, going through all of the things that selling out to something that I just thought would make people, like me, and how empty that was, into where I'm at now. And perhaps, maybe I'll get the nerve up one of these days, and I'll play it on the channel. But the singer-songwriter, appreciates the, as a singer-songwriter, I appreciate, history, art, poetry, all of those things. I think influence the music that I write. And since I was kind of in the vein of history, I was, from the VR that I did, I kind of stayed in that, and I got some of my Civil War history out, and I was just kind of perusing some of my books and everything. It's been a while, since I started. I'm a year into law enforcement. A year before that was the academy. I haven't done a lot of things in the last couple of years that I've been away from my history books. I've been away from my music writing and all that. Trying to now get back into it. Now that I've been at it for a year, kind of getting the kinks worked out, trying to get back into things. I was reading into a Civil War book, and they had a print of the Battle Hymn of the Republic. And being a prior military law enforcement, I've got also a deep vein of patriotism that runs through me. And I've read all of this before, and when I was reading it again, we kind of, in society know the first verse and all that, and the glory, glory, hallelujah was actually added later. But I wanted to do a reading of that because no war is ever good. It's all bloody and violent, and whether it's one death or a million deaths, loss of human life is tragic. But when I look at this poem, it reminds me, that sometime from the most grievous circumstances, something beautiful can come of it. So I'm going to read this real quick, and then I have something I want to post. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He is trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. He hath loosed the faithful lightning of his terrible swift sword. His truth is marching on. I have seen him in the watchfires of 100 circling camps. They have builded him an altar in the evening dews and damps. I can read his righteous sentence by the dim and flaring lamps. His day is marching on. I have read a fiery gospel writ in burnished rows of steel. As ye deal with my contemners, so with you my grace shall deal. Let the hero, born of woman, crush the serpent with his heel, since God is marching on. He has sounded forth the trumpet that shall never call retreat. He is sifting out the hearts of men before his judgment seat. Oh, be swift, my soul, to answer him. Be jubilant, my feet. Our God is marching on. In the beauty of the lilies, Christ was born across the sea, with a glory in his bosom that transfigures you and me. As he died to make men holy, let us die to make men free, while God is marching on. That last verse is my favorite. Got a little chill after reading that one. I really enjoy that last one. So the richness of the life that we live and that we're blessed with, can be found in how we deal with the tough circumstances that come our way from time to time. What I'm going to pose, my charge in this is to consider, and you can take something from your own life, a historical event that has occurred. If you don't feel like sharing something, if that's such a personal deal, I'm not trying to drag something out of you that you don't really want to put out there. But would be, leave a comment, do a VR, something that has influenced you and enriched your life, from a more of a grievous circumstance, something that good came out of that. I think if we can look at those things, we have a much brighter outlook on life. And we're 23, 43 into this video. I appreciate your patience. With this, I've done a lot of blends and everything, blend reviews, small little discussions. Every now and then I like to talk about, I did a blend here, I did a review on this cigar, but I wanted to tag onto that a little something extra. I'm not always going to be bombarding you with such long videos, but I've enjoyed making this. It's really caused me to think about things that, in the hustle and bustle, I tend not to think about. It just sits on a back shelf somewhere until something like today just kind of draws it out of me, and I get to sit back and think about it and think about how all the things that I've gone through in the past have brought me to where I am right now, and I wouldn't trade any of it for the world. So that's all I wanted to say on that. And this cigar is just doing so well. it's not as pungent as some are. It's a medium wrap. You know, I've had some double Liguro Maduros that would just knock you out, and I've had some Connecticut's that would probably pair well with a green tea or something like that. It's so light you can barely taste anything. This is somewhere right in the middle. And the rum infusion is just so wonderfully done. So, it's very aromatic in the room note and the taste. I'm very excited, and I'm glad I still have a pretty good amount of it left. It's one of those I'm going to be sad when it's burning my fingers, and I just got to put it out and make the decision to do so. So give this a look. I'm sure you can find them online if you're in the North Texas area. Tobacco Cabana had a pretty good amount. They had a larger one than this one. I told her, I said, yeah, it's a little bit large. I don't smoke cigars that much anymore. Thing is, with a cigar, you're committed to that. Once you light it up, you're committed to it. So you got to have time once you get to where you can decompress and just sit for a little while with one of the things I like with the pipe, even if you got to run and do something, you can kind of snuff it out, come back to it. It doesn't get all sour and bitter like a cigar does if you let it sit too long. So, but this is actually a smaller version. They had a larger one too, but they're very good. I would highly recommend giving this a try if you're like me and you like a cigar once in a while. So, I guess I'll go ahead and sign off. I appreciate everybody if you've made it this far. I do appreciate it. I'm enjoying my time so far being a part of this community. It's been a blessing to my day, and I look forward to more. I put out a lot. I know I bombarded a lot of you, with notifications and all that. I keep just cranking out videos, doing what I do. When I get on a back-to-back 12-hour rotation, I'll come home and I sleep. Sometimes I've gotten off and I'll come to do a quick little video, and then I have to go crash. Since I've been able to get, have a couple of days off to get a lot of stuff done, there's, still some that I've done today that I haven't posted yet, and I'll continue to post those over the next couple of days while I'm working, just so I can have some content coming out. But, it's been good to just devoted day to getting some stuff done. So, for the channel and all that. So I appreciate all of you. I just wish all of you the best. And I usually here's the good times and a warm pipe, and I'll also include a good cigar. Take care, guys.